I mean, as you know, with one more look at you, I could learn to tame the clouds and let the sun, you know, very romantic. And I'm proud of the work. And Evergreen got me something that I've been trying to get a long time. You know, but the fact is, when I watched what Bradley Cooper created and what all of you created, I approached it. I responded because three of me were watching it. First of all, I lost my brother 2 years ago, a songwriter. He wrote Drift Away. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. Great song.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, thank you. You, man, and I got to tell you, I'm sitting there watching Sam Elliott and his relationship. And it's just, it absolutely, you don't just sit and watch those kind of performances and that kind of story. The moment in the film when Sam Elliott looks back after he's been told that, you know, like, it wasn't Dad, it was you. There's a moment when all that love pours into him, he turns around and he's got the wheel, he looks back behind him, directly by the right tight left to the camera, and he's just losing it. And you feel all that emotion. You don't see something like that and think about the one you did in 1976, you know. Yeah. You don't think about that. You just go, you know. And it's what he created, the moments, I mean, just this. Watching that woman cover her eyes, and I know what she was feeling. She's looking at that audience the first time. I'm not going to be separated from my art. She's committed. I'm not going to get stuck out in shallow. I'm going to stay there. It's you know, it's amazing, you know, and they're all amazing. But yeah, I just, you know, I'm really proud of our Star Is Born, and everybody says, what was it like writing? Were you scared to write songs for Barbra Streisand? Yeah, but I also had to write songs for the guy that wrote Sunday Morning Coming Down, and that was no piece of cake. That was, oh my God. Putting on my cleanest dirty shirt, give me a break.
Very well. Well, Anthony, let me ask you if you would sort of take us back to the writer's room. I mean, I don't know if you even thought of it as a writer.
I'm lost in thinking about Christopherson, what he does next after he finds the dirty shirt. Pour himself a same drink from the last night. I can't remember the next line of that song. It's so good. I'm sorry. Paul's captured my imagination.
There were four of you in the room, and I think you were all on guitars, and this was maybe 2016 that I read, and there was a quote of Lady Gaga's that I thought was interesting, and I was going to ask you about. She said, when I wrote that song with Mark, Anthony, and Andrew, it was different than any other experience I've had writing a song. There was a grave nature to the room. So it sounds like you were in a serious mood. Does that ring a bell with you, or?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty poignant way to put it. I'd say that was the feeling, yeah. I mean, I guess I've always felt most comfortable when, you know, when you can be vulnerable. I think it's very important for process or whatever, so to feel like you're writing on your own, even though you're with a few people, is pretty special. So maybe she's pointing to that in a way, because that's definitely how that felt to me, you know.
And I'm curious how, it sounds like the song sounded very different at the time before it got rearranged.
Yeah, I think Mark had a little bit of like a kind of, you can imagine, a bit more groove production to it. So, but I reckon the epic power ballad of it just couldn't be contained, you know, in the long run. So, but there wasn't a lot of production. It was basically the piano, a couple guitars, bass, sat in a circle, playing melody ping pong, you know, in a very vulnerable space, or a space that I think all of us felt very trusting, just because we have a lot of experiences together, you know. I mean, I don't want to talk too much. I'm like so honored just to even be on the stage with all these people. This is really fun for me. So, but yeah. I think that the relationships we've all built over the years maybe boiled down into that space. And her and I were hanging out quite a bit at the time. She was on the Joanne tour, and I was helping her with some guitar, and you know, I tried to get her to play a smaller neck guitar, and she like refused. She's like, I want the big one. I was like, all right. You know, I think her spirit is the leader in the room. So, you know, it's really all about her, this thing.
And, you know, the song, the New York Times had a great description of the song. They called it, they said it did movie musical triple duty as love song, vocal showcase, and plot pivot. But the way I understand it, it wasn't written as a plot pivot. It was, at least the way she described it, she had it in mind as an end theme, because he was going to commit suicide by drowning.
That's right.
And so that was why the water metaphor.
Therefore, metaphor is sat there, yeah, pretty much. And it sings great, you know. Think for a second, Mark was he saying like, The Shallows used to be a little bit more 60s doo-wop when we first did it, and it was always, they was kind of rubbed a little weird. And it's one of those things, because I really think like that process, I don't like to over-intellectualize that process. It's just whatever feels good when you're playing ping pong in the room with everybody. But to listen back, those were a bit 60s girl group, or 50s girl group actually, and we, you know, she pulled a lot of the la-la and ha-has out, and it gave it much more resonance and stuff. So there's little nips and tucks after the initial thing, I guess.
And she said that, of course, there's that great moment that was they made the centerpiece of the trailer where she kind of goes into that wordless aria, and she said that originally she was like doing that in kind of a quieter falsetto or something. So
yeah, it was super mellow. It was. And the coolest thing about how that all worked out is I was out on the porch. We kind of broke because we didn't know what the bridge was going to be. I was just smoking outside the studio, strumming around as you do. And Mark came out and he's like, hey, maybe that's the bridge. I was like, well, it'd be cool because we're going to come out. I was like, this ends on the major, and then we'd switch back to A minor for the chorus. It's pretty weird. When we tried it the first time, we were all like, yes, it like worked, you know, like, I don't know, we came back in a weird angle to get back into that last chorus. I remember that was kind of the moment where we were like, we have a full song, you know?
And this is the one song in this group that has, well, it's the song that has the most writers with 4 of you.
Is it on the soundtrack?
Yeah, well, not on the soundtrack,
oh, okay.
Of this panel.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of people,
until Diane lists me right song.
Outsiders always wonder how does the writer work.
I'm working on it. Everywhere I see her, I'm like, Diane, it's fun.
But is it just a case where you're all just throwing out ideas and it's hard to kind of trace where they went, or?
I don't know. I think you're just, I mean, you're literally in a circle like this. Like, everyone's ears pretty quick. I mean, you bang it pretty quick. You kind of know where it's gonna go. I mean, I've written a ton of songs with Andrew. I've done a ton of stuff with Mark. They're two of my best friends, and I've spent a lot of time with Stephanie. She's like, we really come from a very similar place. We're all like tri-state area kids. You know, we could have been in a band. And my experience has always been in the band. I can't believe you do like Dirty Pretty Things and Libertines and stuff. It's so funny to me. They're such small entities compared to what everyone on the stage has done. It's just like, but it's fun to hear the word klaxons. But I think maybe the band feeling of it is what led to, you know, to this really organic process of the song, you know, and it's easy to write about ourselves. I think you mentioned also the kind of twist thing, and that is it wasn't written from his and her perspective. We had the 2 verses, but it wasn't he and she, and originally, and I think his weaving of that into the script is what really, you know, that's that last twist I guess it needed, you know, and there's so many people on a song like this. I think his vision should be recognized just as much as the writers on this, because that's how it translates, that's how it gets churned into the listener, you know what I mean? It's really, really been fun to watch that process of it starting in a very small circle and then being kind of twisted a little bit and then woven so beautifully into this film. You know, small cog in a big, big, beautiful machine, really, so pretty cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Diane, you work almost 100% individually, so you're not a huge
Yeah, I
fan.
don't argue with my co-writer. I mean, I beat the shit out of myself. Is that? I guess I'm in an abusive relationship with myself. I don't know. But yeah, what? Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Sure,
Self-harm.
I'm in this building too. I've been here since, with film schools, is their 20th anniversary? I've been here since '85. Isn't that crazy? Sorry, I don't know why I brought that up.
Love Hollywood.
I do, I love old Hollywood. I liked it when it was really sleazy before too. I really did. What's that?
And people must coach you into wanting to co-write.